orgasms really have very little to do with the making of love. And men who require their women to respond with the petite mal seizure, which is an orgasm, that can be picked up on the richer scale, are not making, when men seek more than that, they're not making love, but they're asking for reassurance.
Squirrel Rosenberg Podcast. We're rocking in with our guest, Jessica Martinez. Round of applause for coming in so proficient. You know, usually when we rock in, I come in with this, really natural intro. However, as you started dissecting that book you found here in our laboratory,
yes, kudos to you.
Yeah, no, big shout out to that. But you're able to find that book and dissect that jewel right there. So as we get ready to bring this in, I want to just give a big shout out to everybody that's in the house tonight. Tonight's a special night. Our guest is here, and she kind of took the lead, which is what she normally does here on in everything that she does. She takes the lead. But let me reel this in and go back and reset this. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into the SQR podcast, Squirrel Rosenberg Radio. The music you're hearing in the background, or you were listening to, is all available on our SoundCloud. I want to make sure you can go there, tune in, subscribe, like us, go to the YouTube channel, check us out. And as I normally do, and everybody who's ever watched this show, I take this moment to give a big shout out to my crew on the back holding us down. Big shout out to Manny in the background. Thank you so much, bro. Big shout out to Charles holding us down on the high def, making sure we're looking crisp, and just marinating on the staff that's in the house. And at this moment, I want to take a brief break and give a big shout out to the audience that's here.
Woo!
Yo, we got a beautiful group of ladies here, powerful
women. Hey,
bong. Let's get Jess taking the lead as she normally does. Big shout out to everybody that's here. Another round of applause for our guests. Thank you so much for being here. And I also want to take this moment to salute one of the guests that's been on our show, and he's here to share in this moment, the Honorable Jeffrey Jones. Thank you so much, sir, for being here. I appreciate your presence. You know, his podcast is up on Squirrel Rosenberg Radio right now on SoundCloud. You should check that out. You know, word on the street is we went deep, and there's some jewels that are dropped, so you need to check that out. However, tonight, it's about a woman who has inspired a movement. Yes. A woman who's somewhat seen her worth and the impact she's about to make on this world. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together and celebrate Jessica Martinez.
Amen.
The guest, Squirrel Rosenberg Podcast, Squirrel Rosenberg Radio. And she's here. And you know what's so funny is on this particular show, what we do is we dissect our guest. Because I'm so curious, and because you're from the Latin persuasion, I'm so curious about all the seasonings that goes into the pot. The sazon, the adobo,
oregano, comino, sofrito,
bong, whatever it took. That's now creating the movement that is Jessica Martinez and the Wear Your Crown challenge that you're inspiring. And I want to go back. Let's go back to the beginning.
Okay.
Jessica, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
It's been long overdue because not only the movement that you're supporting is fantastic, this podcast wanted to embrace your project.
And I thank you for that, especially that you're a male leading the way. And there's a silenced voice within the men as well. Like, of course, we're repping domestic violence. You know, it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. But just like the women have been oppressed, I think, and I will dare to say that men have been equally, if not more, oppressed than women because they don't have a voice yet. They're hiding behind that mask of masculinity that really doesn't bring them in to teach them about love and vulnerability. And so they seek women and women that are battered. So yeah.
Whoa. We're going
right.
too far.
We'll go into that later.
Here on the podcast, when you say something that's profound and something that's so truthful, we call it dropping a jewel.
Okay.
And right off the bat, you kind of let through, a couple of jewels just sneak through right there. But I had to catch that, and we're going to pull that back.
Okay.
And I want to get granular because I want to find out who you are. What made you, what wins, what losses that made you so driven to be pushing this thing, and who you're going to challenge at the end of this.
Oh, that's a loaded question.
Yeah. So wait before. So let me direct this real quickly. Jessica Martinez, where are you from? Where's grandma, and grandpa from originally?
So my family is originally from Caguas, Puerto Rico.
Oh, bong bong bong.
Yo.
Boricua.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, you gotta check out this song called Like Praying. And it was like a We Are the World for Puerto Rico right now to sound the alarm that we're gonna rise up no matter what. And it's a video, and it shows people in the street, although they're in devastation, they're out there doing like the Cupid shuffle or the electric slide. Because what's great about our people, we have indigenous roots, and it's the Taino people, and they find joy in any circumstance they're in. So Like Praying, they got a lot of celebrities to create that song, but my family is from Caguas, Puerto Rico.
And in terms of geographic location, so that my viewers can understand.
Okay.
You hear about Ponce, you hear about
That's the South.
Yeah.
So they got hit hard.
Bong. And what geographically, where are you located so they can understand?
I'm located in the central east side.
And were you guys impacted by the hurricane?
Yes. So we don't have any electricity. A lot of roads are blocked by trees. So we're depending on the rivers, to bathe. But the thing is now with, rodents and stuff like that, they're in there. There's just a lot of contamination in the water. So it's rough. We need light, we need resources, clean water, medication, and stuff like that.
Wow. So, not to even deviate from that devastation, but what's so funny, I'm hearing the strength that's indigenously in those people.
Yes.
And in you. So grandma, grandpa from Puerto Rico, how did you get here to the mainland, as they would say it?
My mother is a bold woman. And she decided she didn't want to work in the factories making bras. She wanted to be a hairstylist.
Okay.
And so she migrated to the U.S. via the U.S. Army and didn't know English. So she ate hamburgers for 3 months because she didn't know how to say cheese. And it's crazy. But she knew that was a vehicle to get her to where she wanted.
The U.S. Army.
Yes.
Was her. And what she do in the U.S. Army? Did you know?
She went through the basic training. She was there, and then at that time there weren't any wars, so then she got the what's that educational bill, the GI Bill.
Yeah, the GI Bill.
And they paid for her licensing to become a beautician, which to me, to be a beautician, you're a community psychologist. That's what you are, because you're helping women find their identity by helping them beautify themselves and feel good. And then you're talking to somebody in confidence
being
about
a therapist.
Yeah, so she was a community therapist to me because she wanted to study psychology in Rutgers University, but then she got pregnant with me.
Because the next question I was going to ask was, where was Dad in that whole mix? So she gets here, and that's when she meets your father.
Yes, she met my father after she got here. And fell in love. My dad is a very smart man. And once I got to have a relationship with my dad, I said, I now know where I get all my depth from. Okay,
let's slow this down because you're kind of speeding this up real quickly because I kind of want to walk through this because I know what's going to be at the end of this meal.
Okay.
I already saw the menu. I know what dessert is. My viewers don't. And what I want to do is I want to make sure they understand everything that goes into this production. That is Jessica Martinez and your movement. So let's do this. So now you're born. What's the family makeup like and where were you living?
So I was living in Irvington, New Jersey.
Okay, bong. Big shout out to Jersey. You're right
County.
down the street. You're right down the street from us.
Right. So I was raised in Irvington, New Jersey. During that time, my parents got separated when I was 6 years old.
You were the only child?
I'm the only child at that time. And there was domestic violence, and that's what I want to speak about. And I don't know if it's time to speak about it right now, but
listen, there's always time to speak about it.
So my dad, you know, his story is very dynamic too, because he's the youngest of 3.
Okay.
And very smart, went to boarding school, didn't have much of a relationship with mom. Dad died when they migrated from Dominican Republic to Canada. So yeah, because I'm half Puerto Rican, half Dominican. And my dad was the youngest, so he, you know, I think when we're young and things are happening, our bodies absorb trauma. You know what I mean? So he was very smart. He did what he did, and he met my mom and fell in love because she had a heart for loving people and loving the good in people. And so, you know, in the 70s, because I was born in 1977, so as we know, disco and drugs was like on and popping, because before that was the 60s, which was the peace and love movement, and they were sounding the alarm on all the wars. True. So I believe, so I believe they brought in disco, distraction, drugs, numb the pain, and then like get off our backs, because you're sounding too much of the alarm, and us government people doing what we need to do.
So who was the aware one in that whole dynamics?
I think my dad, because of education, but he was hurt, and when you have unmet needs from a childhood's perspective, you can get all the education you want, but there's an unmet need. And so when that came into the picture, and then my mom trying to, you know, that's why they say do not be unevenly yoked when you look for a husband.
Squirrel Rosenberg Radio. Okay. Jessica Martinez. I got to pull that back. Major jewels are being dropped right now. And I told you before, when you say something profound on this podcast, I got to pull that back, because I want my guests, I want my listeners to understand the meaning and the application of what you just said. When you're unevenly yoked.
Yes. So I think it's very powerful that, listen, although we say independent women, we don't need no brothers, we don't need no men because we got the balls. The reality is we got no balls. We got ovaries though. You know what I mean? Which is very different. And when we have women that are pumping their fist, like I'm independent woman, I don't need no man. This whole thing, and I learned from myself, comes from a place of disappointment. So I got to pump it up for myself to keep myself sane, because there's nobody to depend on.
Squirrel Rosenberg Radio. Yo, stay focused here. A lot of jewels are being dropped. We're in the depth of a very powerful woman. And, you know, the fact that you're even dropping, you know, or even this confident, I kind of want to slow that down, because I want to find out, where did that confidence come from? Why are you so secure in your lane? Because there's other women who need to understand the wins, the falls that you've been through.
Right.
So you're delivering this so eloquently. So as I get to dissect this, so it's mom, dad, you're the oldest?
Yes.
Then you have a brother?
Yes.
That's it.
But my brother is from another relationship. My stepdad.
So
and we're 18 years apart.
So as you're growing and you're going through that whole process, is there something or someone that you remember making an impact that kind of propelled you in this lane?
My mother.
Why?
So my mother, there was a night in my aunt's house, and this is what sparks it all. And this is why this is purple. This is why I support domestic violence, because I was 6 years old. I'm in my aunt's house, and my mom finally gets the strength to tell my dad that she's leaving him because she has enough evidence. And
evidence of
infidelity. And I see my dad try to choke my mom out in the back room. So I get on him, and I'm 6 years old, and I'm punching my dad in his back. My aunt calls me into the kitchen, which is 3 rooms over, so that I can eat. And at 6 years old, I sat at the table and I'm crying, and I'm like, what the heck is going on here? At 6 years old, I'm able to process, like, why are you more concerned with serving dinner with my 2 cousins and me versus sounding the alarm on what's happening in the back room? So then I'm eating, and then next thing I know, my mother comes to the table, my dad comes to me, and I have a good relationship with my dad right now. But at that moment, he tells me, let it be the first and last time you put your hands on me.
He says that to you.
Right. So, he goes into somewhere, 6 years old. I can't remember too much. But my mom is sitting across from me and she says, Jessica, grab my bag and open the door. So I do that. And she says, when I say run, you start running. And so I start running down the stairs and she follows me. And we're running in Irvington. And to this day, I know where it's at. It's, we run into this building. They're having a party. And the kids are coming out into the hallway looking at me. And I'm just like, what is going on? So my mom asked somebody to use their phone. And then my uncle came to get me. So then they pick us up. The next morning, my dad shows up to my aunt and uncle's house. The cars crashed. And my uncle left to work because he used to work for the Irvington school system. And we got in the bathroom when we turned on the shower. So my aunt opens the door and she's like, oh my God, hey, what's going on? He's like, have you seen, my mom and me?
Yeah.
And she's like, no, what's going on? And he's like, no. And he has a knife. And he's like, yo, they left. She took my daughter from me. And we're in the shower. And she's like, oh my God, I don't know what's going on. Like, uncle is taking a shower, getting ready for work. If I see them, I'm going to let you know. This is crazy. I'm going to contact her. But back in the day, we know pay phones and house phones and stuff like that. So he leaves. But if he knew that it was only women in the house, how would that have been different? So the wittiness and the wisdom in that moment. So it was that. And then from that, we migrated to Newark because Newark has a different flavor. North Newark, for that matter, from Irvington. And it was more community. It was a Latin community.
But let me not let you fast forward through that ride, because as you're telling me this, I am thinking, holy shit.
Right.
You're 6.
Yeah.
Grab my purse and run.
Mm-hmm. And the fear.
How do you filter that? Let me ask you this. Let me be more specific. You're in the shower. Water's running. He's at the door. And I'm being this granular because I know how strong you are now. Mm-hmm. And I want that girl who's listening to this podcast to understand she has what it takes. So you're in the shower. He's at the door. You hear him leave. What do you feel?
In what I do remember is mom sitting on the bathtub, because it's the old school bathtub that's raised from the floor.
Yeah.
And I'm just in front of her. So it's like mom is being present to me. We're not saying anything because we got to be quiet. So I think that's where I learned to connect to the soul, like energy. So it's her energy was telling me, let's just be still and be one. Let's be connected. So I don't remember any instructions. And again, that was years ago. But what I do remember is that we were just being present. Like I was facing her and she was facing me, and it was like grabbing me,
Wow. Squirrel Rosenberg Podcast, Jessica Martinez. It's rare that, as I said before, I'm at a loss for words as you take me on this journey. And I am so grateful for this moment and you being so willing to go so detailed with me as I take you on this journey, bringing back those emotions and sharing. So as we get ready to take this break on Squirrel Rosenberg Podcast, we're going to come back, jump into the transition into the next stage that is, that other phase that gets you to where you are right now. And we're going to dissect and find out where she is now, where she's confidently telling all women and men,
amen,
to wear your crown.
Yes,
Squirrel Rosenberg
man.
Podcast, Jessica Martinez. We'll be back up with these messages. One. Squirrel Rosenberg Podcast. Jessica Martinez coming back as we get ready to rock in on the second half of this wonderful conversation. As a matter of fact, as we get ready to ring out here, could you bless us with that rendition?
That was spontaneous, by the way.
Could you do that again, please? Could you bless us with that rendition?
Oh, Lord Jesus.
Come on, go.
The Lord is my shepherd. He's all that I want. Nice. It was in the moment, but
yeah, no,
it's true. That's all I need. That's all I need.
It's all about the moment. It's all about the moment. So I want to make sure that we are definitely, in that moment, because what you're talking about and the journey that we're on and where we're going to end up, and I don't want to be the spoiler alert.
Okay.
I just want to let my viewers and my listeners know that you're in for a treat, and the end of this is going to be a challenge that we're going to put out to every woman
and man.
So let's continue to dissect to get to that. So here you are, that poignant moment with your mom in the bathroom.
Okay.
You move on from that, and you found, what's so funny is through that whole journey, I never heard you said I was scared. I never heard you said I cried. It was just, I'm hearing this. I'm the fly on the wall in your life right now. And I found that within that, there was a lot of strength. So now you've moved on from that. Mom got back on her feet, did not get back with that, I'm assuming.
Right.
What was the adjustment like going forward? What was the high school? What was dealing? Now you're
amazing. This is where I get my strength from, because we moved into North Newark. My mom found an apartment. I think like maybe 2 years later, there was a fire in the house because the owner was a woman who was married, and her husband set the house on fire and took the two kids out. Took the two kids to the neighbor, which were my best friends, and lit the house on fire. But we lived in the basement, so my mom saw through the crease of the door him pouring gasoline, and she was like, oh my God. So then when she heard the fire, we got out. So this was our moving into North Newark. Right? Crazy.
Are you serious?
So we get out. My mother finds another apartment. She meets a tribe. And I think that sometimes when we find our tribe, it seems by accident, but it's all connected, because she knew her. She was Cuban. My shout out to my Cuban folks.
Yeah, big shout out. Big shout out to Cubano. Big shout out.
And so she then met these other Cubans who took my mom in and was like, live in the basement for free. You're, getting on your feet or whatever. And nothing. So then from that, my mother just pursued. She always wanted to be a cosmetologist. So then she pursued it. She met someone who was also, pursuing it. And long story short, she was like, listen, let's create our own business. And they created their own business. We moved and got our own apartment. And I remember at 8 years old, I remember being in my apartment because my mother used to grind. So I used to be home alone all the time. And I looked around and I was like, wow, these couches, the food. My mother bought no frills. Everything was brand. And I was like, wow, like she made it. Like she gave me this comfort. We used to go shopping every Monday. August, we would do school shopping, layaway. So she became independent. And I think that is what fueled me to see. And that's why me and my mom are so close. And my sisters here know, like, I'll go out, I'll bring my mom. She's a young spirited person. And it's because we went through the struggle together and I saw where she went. And that's what inspires me.
What's so fascinating about that whole journey is, as you're telling me about that whole pull your pants up, strength that your mom had, I am wondering, where did she get that from? Let me ask you that question. Now that you're older and can look back retrospectively, where do you think your mom got that from? By the way, let's slow this up. What's the name of your mom?
Oh dang, government.
No, we want a big.
My mom.
We want a big mom
look
up.
at that.
We want a big mom up.
Amelia, which is in Spanish is Amelia.
Amelia.
And and which is like Amelia Earhart, which
Okay.
was a pioneer woman.
Big.
So my mom's name is Amelia, and I think that she got her strength from her mom, which is my grandmother. My grandmother's husband became an amputee early on, and they had 10 children.
What?
My grandmother in Puerto Rico.
Were they into soccer?
No.
That's almost a football team right there. Are you serious?
Well, that's how it gets down. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's big. That's big. No, that's big. No. That's,
So I think
hold
it
on.
was that.
Let's salute Amelia.
My mom,
Yeah.
big ups,
Big shout
Amelia.
out. Big shout out. Big shout out. Yeah, and the reason why I do that is because I know when she was in the strugglement, as we say in Jamaica, when she was going through it.
I like that word.
Yeah, she wasn't thinking about making an impression on you. She was thinking about surviving.
Survival. My mom's always solution based.
And look at the impression that's made on you for you to be this confident woman. And that's what propelled this right now. And that's why I had to go back to grandma, to hear what she went through for that genetic, seed to be passed
Right.
on. So as we're dissecting this and getting forward, so now you've seen what a superwoman can do in Amelia. And now you're moving to high school.
Yes.
What was that like? Had a lot of
So
support?
I went to high school. I went to Arts High School, Newark, New Jersey. Big
Okay,
up.
big shout out. Big shout out to Newark, New Jersey.
Yes. Gina Campbell,
Okay.
Martin, graduated from there.
Okay.
Alumni.
Nice.
Amongst others. Savion Glover, all of that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yo, drop those names. That's big.
Yes.
That's big.
So what happened is that
Yo, I love that. Yo, stay focused, ladies and gentlemen. Could you drop that again, please?
so what happens is that I have to audition to get into this school
Why the arts?
because for some reason I wanted to be an actress.
Okay.
Expression, I guess, So I have to audition. I call my grandmother in Puerto Rico and she's like, you got this, you got it,
Were you nervous?
Yes. So I prepped for the role. I got in, and I went to Arts High School when it was like what seemed 98% African American. So I'm Puerto Rican. I'm of color. I'm a woman of color. But don't let this all fool you because my aesthetic speaks of the colonizers. You know what I mean? So, but my heart is with my people. So I went through a lot of identity issues, but in our Thai, everybody knew me as Boricua because I was like, I need to rep my people because I'm a people of color. And so through that, I had a lot of friends that were close to me that are African American. So from freshman to sophomore year, I only associated with my black friends, you know what I mean? And then in my junior year, I was like, okay, let me integrate with my Latino friends. And so I did that bridge. And so funny thing, right? So at 16 years old, I was molested. And I didn't realize this till later. My GPA went all the way down. And when you apply to college, they look at junior year. And so I graduated Arts High School with a 1.9 GPA, which is a D+. I was 68 out of 74 graduates.
Can I pull up the handbrake real quick?
Yes.
You dropped something that was interesting because that curveball that you experienced at 16, you were molested. Expound on that. Please.
I think that moment, like I have shared this with my mom, so my mom knows. And it was because of a friend from college. I took women's studies. I almost minored in it. And she told me, when you don't speak about what's happened to you, you hide the abuser. So if you're all about this women empowerment thing, you need to speak. And it was the hardest thing I've had to do to this day. Like the hardest. Like when I had to tell my mom, I literally could not speak. Like my voice left. You know what I mean? But I did, and we moved on, and it was liberating. So, sometimes we need to create a tribe of women that we challenge ourselves. We tell each other the truth, and we remind each other of who we are. Like, this is who you are. And if this is who you are, this is what you do. Are you doing that? And that's what had me to share.
Squirrel Rosenberg Podcast. Jewels are being dropped consistently through this conversation. And it is so poignant because of what we're experiencing at this time in our life right now. The Harvey Weinstein fiasco, which is just the tip of the iceberg. You know, there's a philosophy that says the iceberg, you know, that what you see at the surface is nothing compared to what's beneath the surface. And to hear you talk about, you know, being molested at 16 and sharing that and realizing the impact of sharing that is profound. And I want to salute you for doing that. And I had to pull you back to that because in my heart, I feel like there's this 16-year-old girl who's being molested right now.
We sound the alarm on that.
Yeah, who may be listening to this podcast and realize that, hey, here's a woman who has gone through that journey and now be able to make this movement. And I salute you for that. I kind of want to fast forward to what was that tipping point for this, but let me not do that.
Okay.
Let's just continue the journey. That experience at 16. You spoke to mom about it. What was her reaction like?
Her reaction was like, why didn't you tell me earlier? Because when I told her I was 23. So she was like, why didn't you tell me earlier? And I shared with her the reasons why. And, you know, a lot of times when women are abused, or anybody for that matter, not just women, there's like shame that comes over you. And we automatically question, what did I do to attract that, to cause that, or to bring that upon my life? And so when we do that, then instinctively we go into protection mode. Protect ourselves, protect anybody else that it may impact. We think about siblings, we think about family members, stuff like that. So I went into that, and I think that in essence, that's where I drew my strength from, that it was like, I'm going to protect, you know. And it's crazy because all things work together for those who love the Lord. Like, I remember when that happened, and I went into my room and I kneeled down on the floor, and I didn't have a relationship with the Lord like I do now, but instinctively I kneeled down on the floor and I was like, God, like, I'm gonna give you my life, protect me right now. And to fast forward to now, like my 30s, I'm 40 now, and to see how the Lord honored that. Like, I will never leave you nor forsake you. You know what I mean? And I've seen that in the flesh. So it adds to that identity. Like, God is always with us, man.
There's something there, though, because at 16, it could have gone so wrong.
Yeah, it could have gone left. Like, left. No,
seriously. I mean, you know, you going to pray after that experience is the complete, you know, anomaly in the whole equation. Normally, it's drugs, alcohol, and further down that lane.
But I will say this. My mom was a single mother who was focused. Like, she had the community, like, watch my daughter. She be alone. I be grinding. My mom worked like 2 blocks from my house. So I was in the house a lot. So she had the community. That's that back in the day stuff. Like,
of course,
you could whip my daughter if she, you know, whatever.
Yeah. I'm Jamaican. I can relate to that. This is straight, yo, I can relate to that.
Right. Son. They give permission up in here. So, you know, I had that. And the other thing that my mom did was she talked to me all the time. My mom, we had a very good relationship. So she taught me that virginity was power.
Squirrel Rosenberg Radio. I'll pull that one up. You know, it's a jewel that's being dropped right now that I'm going to ask you to repeat those words that made that statement, please. That virginity is power. Just look into the camera and say that again, please.
Yo, straight up, virginity is power. Like, this whole, don't get me started. This whole D challenge, we got it twisted. Like, and I don't want to take it there, but we have, and that's where all this started.
Can I have
we
you
have
could you take it there, please? Could you take it there? Take it there.
Oh, Jesus.
Take it there.
Like, because I know there's been like a clapback to the whole D challenge and like the P challenge and all that. But in reality, we are a world to be explored. Like if we really break it down, when a man, he literally comes into you to experience who we are. And so the reason why a lot of women, and a lot of women might not speak on this, but the reason we feel empty when we don't have an emotional connection with somebody, you don't know me, you don't see me. You see this, but you don't see me. You don't connect to me. And you come into me to experience me. And then you leave and don't talk. You become ghost. You whatever. We feel a loss because we gave of ourselves in that moment.
Wow.
So we're powerful. Like, come on, you coming into this world.
No. What's so funny is, no, seriously, we need to.
Come on now.
No. What's so funny is, I really appreciated how you slow that whole thing down, because, when you hear some of these rap songs, and you hear and what's so funny, we kind of deviated from the
it's
right.
So superficial.
We kind of deviate from the right, because I wanted to finish up high school, going to college.
Okay, but, we could go back. We could go back.
We kind of deviated, but what I love is the fact that our society says, run up in you.
And we got to slow that down. You ain't running up in nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Our society says, you know what? If I pipe one time, I'ma like her. If I pipe two time, I might wife her. That song, you know what I mean?
And it gives them all the control.
Which is no, but go back to what you just said. I allow you to come into me.
You know what somebody told me? My coworker Ishmael. He said to me, we were talking about sperm, how the sperm swim. So just sidebar, it said that male sperm swim fast but die quickly. Female sperm swim slow and last long, right? So then he said, when a sperm gets into the egg, people think like, oh, it got in. But he had a different perspective. He said the egg decided to open up to let them in. So it gives the female that perspective, because we live in a male dominated world and they always got to exude power. And I get that. I get where that comes from. But we need to speak another language to let women know that we also have choice. We have decision. And a lot of times we grow up, and I was part of that too. Like, you want to be chosen. Like, that's when you feel good. That's where the competition amongst other women come in, where a woman could be married, could have a boyfriend, but if I could get her man to like me, I win. But that's wrong.
Squirrel Rosenberg Podcast. Jess, I am trying to spoon feed my guests and my listeners through this, and we're just giving them so much stuff right now, because the truth that you're delivering, and I want to make sure they understand that your awakening, your enlightening didn't happen overnight.
No.
There was a journey for you to be this confident, and I want them to catch that. I want them to be aware of, your appreciation of the value of a woman. So we're going to take a quick break, come back. We're going to dissect from college on, and then come back and really get into the movement of the Wear Your Crown Challenge here. Squirrel Rosenberg Podcast, Jessica Martinez. We'll be back after these messages. One. I want to give a big shout out to everybody that's here rocking out with us. Round of applause to the audience, kicking back. You know, it's something always very, very, you know, sexy and intellectual when there's a connection in our audience, because, you know, when we're not digging into, you know, Jessica's story, the members in the audience are finding out about each other and just blending.
Yeah.
I love that energy. So I want to compliment everybody for being here as we get ready to grow into where we are now. Transition from high school. And mom has definitely been that influential factor in your life.
Yes.
So as you transition, and I haven't heard much about dad.
No. So my mom got divorced when I was 6, and my mom had to have a detective follow her for 6 months because my dad just didn't do well with the separation.
He was Jamaican, was he?
No.
Okay.
I'm half Dominican.
I'm just
okay?
saying, we're kind of crazy. I'm gonna lie. I'm gonna own some of this right here because we're kind of crazy. We will hold on to you, but
I think more passionate, like
wow. My new Secretary of State, Jessica Martinez. As she read for us Jamaicans out there, yeah, we are very passionate. Go
very
ahead.
passionate,
Yeah.
and so I applied for college. I dare apply to college. Okay. I had a freaking D+ graduating. Okay. And I think my highest accumulative SAT was like maybe like a 9 something. Okay. So I had no business dreaming about no college. Okay. And if it wasn't because my mom was on welfare at the time, the school came to interview. William Patterson, shout out Willie P.
Willie P. Big shout out to Willie P. Big shout out to Willie P.
Pioneers, because they are the pioneers. They're seeking hungry people that want to make a difference. Okay, so they came to interview at my school, and they said, "Okay, these are your grades. This is your background. This is your financial background. But I want to meet you." So we had a one-on-one interview. It was like group and then one-on-ones. And after that one-on-one interview, I got accepted. Like, I was told, you got accepted.
Sold yourself.
Right. So then I get accepted. I wanted to be an actress because I studied theater in high school.
True. Arts.
So once I get accepted to William Patterson, they discontinued the theater major. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, okay, I'll go undecided. I'll decide in sophomore year, and hence my journey started. In 7th grade, I wanted to become a probation officer because I had just had a heart for, you know, my uncle was a victim of drug abuse, then mental illness. My uncle was like my father for the most part. Like, we would come home. I had 2 cousins, and he would bring us all our favorite treat. Like, I loved crimpets. My cousin loved chocolate cupcakes, you know, mango. Everybody fought for like the seed. And so that was my father per se. But, you know, 70s, I got caught up in drugs, mental illness, bipolar, schizophrenia, and died homeless. So, and that impacted our family, and it broke our family. You know, my cousins that I grew up with, they moved to Puerto Rico. And so I just was like, I want to study, you know, one of my family members got caught up in the criminal world. And I knew that it was the lack of that, like that breakup, you know. And so I wanted to study criminal justice and figure out the root of things. So I said, all right, I'll do criminal justice. I go to college, and in college, when I came in, I discovered a group of women that were bold, you know, and not only were they bold, but they said, you know, one of their chants were, you know, I don't need no brothers because we got the balls. So I was like,
okay,
yes,
okay.
You know.
What was the name of these women?
So it was an organization called Lambda Tau Omega, Sorority Incorporated. And so they would come out with this like masculine energy, like, we don't need no brothers, we got the balls, like what? And they would chant with this manly voice, but yet their mascot was an enchanting mermaid. So I was like, ooh, I like that. I like that paradox, you know? And we would carry ourselves as women and giving women that sense of independence. Like, you got to rise up, you got to speak for your tribe, per se. We are women that are sounding the alarm on. And remember, we come from the majority of us at the time were of Latino descent, but let's not get it twisted. When we're in the Caribbean, we're mixed. We're Afro-Caribbean, okay?
Well said. Yeah.
Right.
That was very well said, because we are all from that same
Hello.
order.
How you doing, right? So colonizers brought that European flavor, while we're in the Caribbean. So, through that transatlantic slave trade, Africans were dropped off there too. And then there were already indigenous people there. So that's where we get this mix. So I dare to say that Latinos are the representation of unity. Because also with indigenous people, there's that Asian influence in there too.
True.
So
true.
we are the culmination of all the nations. So we have trauma. We have generational trauma too that has been, not addressed. And, hopefully we'll talk about that later.
But your awareness of all that.
Yeah.
And even as you filter that through your journey, because one of the things I think I've picked up along your whole, up to college and even join that sorority.
Right.
And let's take this moment and slow this down. Could we mention that group again, please?
So, Lemiton Mega Sorority Incorporated. Whoop whoop. We were very bold, and we liked that dynamic to show the feminine and also show the masculine, because a lot of us, like, once I joined the organization, I noticed that what brought us together was that we all witnessed women in our family become submissive to the point that they lost their voice. So we're talking about a culture of women that suffered infidelity, husbands having children out of wedlock, these same women raising those children out of wedlock as if they were part of the family, and just always having that strong front, like, nope, I'm not going to get divorced because I win. I didn't make that choice. My husband made that choice. So I'm not going to disgrace myself and my family unit because of the decision that he made. So I'm going to stay in this relationship. And although that's honorable, behind the curtain, though, what does that do to a woman? It chips away at you because you feel rejected, you're disappointed, you're disillusioned, and you're hurting. And then there's no trust.
I'm very curious at how sensitive you are to all these stimuli that we all experience, or women experience. Let me be more specific on that. And as you're journeying through this, it sounds like you went through a relationship that allowed you to experience both sides.
You good, brother? You good?
No, because my job is to really, here's what I want to do. I want to show the relatability, because there's somebody listening to this, maybe watching this, that's going, damn, I'm in that position right now, and what did she do? So I want to go back to this. Your mom definitely showed you how to be a strong woman. Going through college, the sorority you joined showed you that there's strong women out there.
Yes.
Regardless of what they've been experienced. What was that relationship for you that said, hey, I have to find my strength?
Okay, so in college, I met someone who was on the same journey I was. The journey of getting educated, the journey of representing our community.
Okay.
And saying we're going to be, I don't know.
Was he good looking?
Yes.
Okay.
Very attractive, and had a voice, was compassionate, was able to be vulnerable, humble, and also supported my feminist views at the time.
Wow.
Right? So, but that's another story. I think I am more of a humanist, not so much of a feminist anymore, like humans. But he was very like present to that. So I was like, awesome. We're going to elevate our community. We're going to educate our people. And I saw a future in this person, you know? And so there's a saying that says, you attract who you are, not who you want.
Slow that down. Squirrel Rosenberg Podcast. Another jewel being dropped right now. Let's say that again, please.
You attract who you are, not who you want. So outwardly, this was like, great. This is going to be a man that's going to lead me. He seems smarter than me. He's driven. Great accountability. We had a relationship for 10 years. You know, so this was somebody, you know, that I saw a future with. Absolutely. You know, so, but I had deep childhood wounds, as I discussed, a lot of dad issues. Yeah, you can't. I heard a saying recently that said, sometimes what you need healing with, what the love you're looking for, no other human can give you. Only the Lord, you know? So I was looking for this man to heal these unmet childhood needs. And that's not his job. It's not his job. You know what I mean? So it sucks because you hold this person responsible for that. And now I'm a woman, so I don't know nothing about being a man. But just on that strength, that's a lot. That's a lot, because if a man says, I love you, I want the best for you, I see potential in you, and then we grow together in that vulnerability, and then this thing manifests, and then I make you responsible for healing that. That's a lot. That's a lot for you. So that's when men go into this thing like, holy crap. You know, number one, a lot of women say men are dogs, men are stupid. I don't think so. I think that men are very smart. And so a man will pick up.
Could you slow down and say that again, please?
Men are very smart.
Thank you. Squirrel Rosenberg Radio, Squirrel Rosenberg Podcast. Jessica Martinez, the initiator of the Wear Your Crown Challenge, dropping a jewel here. Men are very smart.
They really much are. So what happens is a man will pick up when a woman is in love with their potential. So what happens, it can be flattering, but at the same time, it could be nerve-wracking, because then it's like, what if I never amount to that potential? Then she will never love me.
Wow. What's so funny
does she love me even in the first place?
You know, what's so funny is I was having this conversation, and I'm going to not mention this person's name because I'm sure they want to stay incognito. But right before we started, we were talking about the apple in the tree analogy. And we were talking about the impact women have on men by staying high up in the tree. Because when we walk along, we have two options. We can either climb that branch to get up to that gorgeous apple, or we can walk along and pick something up that's already on the floor.
Right.
You know, and that's the power that women have. And I'm so connected to what the energy you're dropping right now, because I have been aware and applied it in my life. And that's what's got me this far. You know, it got me out of the cave. It got me to brush my teeth, put clothes on to get a job. You know, thank you. So as we're dissecting this and we're getting through this, there's a lot of power that's coming from what you're saying. And it's so diplomatic, you know, because you're reminding women of the power they have.
Yeah.
And, you know, so I try to pull you back into that relationship that propelled you into being this superwoman or this Wonder Woman. And you got through it very fast.
Okay.
I'm going to let you ride. Because
no.
You're gonna
Let's
be back.
Let's do it.
You're going to get back here. But at the end of that relationship, it's easier said than done. What did you learn?
I think for sure at the end of that relationship is when I found an intimate relationship with the Lord. Because I knew, like, during that relationship, there was a moment where it was like a whisper in my heart. Like I knew that there was depth to me. Like I wanted to be loved on a deeper level, you know? And at one point in the relationship, I decided I wanted to become celibate. It was like a Holy Spirit moment. Like, what do you think about this idea? And I'm like, oh, that is awesome, because it's gonna allow, once I take the sexuality out of it, like I know that I'm beautiful aesthetically, and I know that God has blessed me with a very popular body, you know, and I'm very passionate. So it just all works itself in, but it upstages who I am in my soul.
Because of the physical attributes.
Right. And I wanted to be loved on a soul level.
Jessica, I am fascinated at your awareness on every level. You know what I mean? Even when you were 6, you were aware.
That's,
you know,
the Lord.
You know,
hello.
As you grew through everything, you're just being so aware. And here we are. I want to find out. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. For some dumb reason, Harvey Weinstein is hitting a home run right now.
How so?
A home run in bringing the awareness to,
for the cause.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
You follow? No, seriously,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah.
You know, you got to really look at things.
This whole Me Too thing.
Yeah, the meat, everything about it is now culminating and supporting the Wear Your Crown Challenge. I want to take a quick break.
Okay.
I want to come back in. I want to mix that all up, and I want you to tell everybody about the Wear Your Crown Challenge mission. And then I'm going to ask you, I'm going to put this out there now. I want to ask you to challenge 3 celebrities to wear your crown. Squirrel Rosenberg Podcast, Jessica Martinez. We're getting deep here. The Wear Your Crown Challenge. 1. Squirrel Rosenberg Podcast, Jessica Martinez. We're rocking in on the last segment of this fascinating powwow. It's been a journey, and an interesting journey to say the least, and that's being modest, because there's so much depth and so much to.
How disrespectful.
You know, let's put him on the call. Who is it? Answer the phone.
My mother.
Answer the phone. Put her on the call. Put her close to the mic.
Hello.
Put her on speaker.
Llamándola a ver qué hace.
Hold it to the mic.
Estoy ahora mismo grabando.
To the front.
Grabando, pues tú estás allá.
Estoy aquí hablando de mi vida. ¿Tú terminaste ahí?
Y eso para donde, en casa de que tú vas a hablar.
No, mami, donde where we took the photo shoot.
Tiraron la foto.
Yes.
Keep it to the front.
Oh, no, yo estoy aquí en casa de mí y yo también te llamé para decirte que estoy aquí.
Okay.
Para que tú me digas más o menos. Mira, ese viejo que canta en el flamboyán. Entonces, para que tú me digas qué tú vas a hacer, para yo tener una idea.
Espérate, dame a ver qué hora es.
No. Have her say Squirrel Rosenberg Radio. Screw that. Have
Mami,
her say
te
Squirrel
voy a llamar en como
Al día
15,
Radio, whatever
20
you say.
minutos.
Está bien, no hay problema. Me dejas saber lo que voy a hacer, no hay problema.
Está bien. Bendición.
Yo te bendigo. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Squirrel Rosenberg Podcast, Jessica Martinez. Was that Emilia?
Yes, but AKA Amalia. Everybody calls her Amalia.
Amalia, thank you so
She's
much for
like
calling in.
The mayor of Newark. Everybody knows my mom.
Dude, yo, I love that. I love that. Big shout out. Let's give her a
my
round
mom's
of applause.
calling me at 11:20.
Yeah, let's give a big shout out to Emilia calling in on the middle of the podcast, getting some of this energy right here. But as we get ready to wrap and get to why we're here, the Wear Your Crown Challenge.
Yes.
The journey of Jessica Martinez has been fascinating. It's also been inspiring and very driven. So here we are, Wear Your Crown Challenge. Why and what is the Wear Your Crown Challenge?
The why, it's interesting. I was on Instagram and I saw this young 14-year-old and she had a certain pose with a hashtag on there. Well, not a hashtag, but like a snap comment. And I won't say what it is because then the person will know who it is. But when I saw that pose and that comment, what immediately, like the Holy Spirit just spoke in my heart, it was like she's crying out. She's crying out.
You saw beyond the post.
Yes. It's like she's crying out for significance, attention, and love. So we're living in a culture right now that is driven by social media. Number two, there are celebrities, trends, and things that are out that are elevating women. It's empowering women in a certain avenue. It's like, do this and be this and you'll get significance and you'll get honor and you'll get praise. And it's very risky, because that's why I wanted to bring it. Like immediately, it was like, you're a queen. Like a queen has value. A queen, there's a mystery to her that has to be unveiled. And there's not a lot of unveiling right now. We are all for the showing. We're showing side boob. We doing D challenges.
Yeah.
We doing slut walks.
Go in.
And I'm not here to shame anybody. You know what I mean? Or sound the alarm or clap back on that, because every woman has their testimony. And I'm not nobody to take away that, because that's real. But all I'm saying is I want to create another lane, because this lane got mad people on it. This lane right here is known as corny, whack, and quiet.
And what's the corny and whack lane called?
It's called being a queen, being a woman, walking in mystery. So when we deal with men, that's a whole nother thing. You know what I mean? Like, I think that I remember in college, we had boys, you know what I mean? And because we were all in the struggle together, we all pledged together, and we would tell them like, yo, once you pledge, don't be acting brand new. Don't be acting like a celebrity, like you don't know us.
Yeah.
Because once they crossed over into that organization, you become a celebrity. So women are entertaining you, and you get distracted or whatever, and then you forget about your root friends. And it's like, yo, what's up? So we remember that these men will come back to the college dorm rooms and will talk about these other women, right? And say they're this and they're that. And I remember us clapping back and saying, yo, but you in front of their face, you applaud all of their behavior and you make them seem like they're significant. But then you come behind the closed door with other women and men and you talk bad about them. That's jacked up. You know what I mean? And so that's what I want to clap back on. That there are men clapping in front of you. Yeah. I love it. But behind the closed door, they're dishonoring you.
Yeah.
And so we need to take that back and say, oh no, this is a garden. Trust and believe. There's a lot of fruit up in here, and you can live off all of it. So there's no other thing that you need, because I could provide. And so we need to be in alignment with men that understand that and know that they want their backyard, their field, their home to be the provider of nutrients, of protein, of everything that they need to survive and excel and elevate. So that starts with us.
It does.
That
It really
starts
does.
with
It-
us,
it really
and
does.
we've strayed away from that.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that there's a crying out for men too, because there's a lot of men out there that front and they love this lifestyle, but they're lonely. They're so lonely and they're broken and they don't trust. And in part, men have a responsibility to that by their choices, but us women too, we got to take the responsibility for that, because we need to set the standard.
Which is really what it comes back to, and realizing that women do set the standard.
They do.
The Wear Your Crown Challenge. So you experienced that hashtag from that young lady.
Right.
You reminded that women are all queens.
Indeed.
The crown.
Yes.
Where did that come from?
It came from back when I ended my 10-year relationship and my whole world shattered. I had to go live with a friend because I couldn't afford my own rent, because I depended. Once you join with somebody, the rent, the bills, all of that stuff becomes two. And so now, I found myself in a very different place. I was engaged, like the whole world that I imagined and dreamed of just shattered. So in that moment, I just found the Lord. And people that have gone through this journey, it's unexplainable. It's like on a deep, spiritual level, where it's like I have you all to myself, and it's like an intimate journey where the Lord showed me how valuable and precious I was, and held me.
I love how you've always, through this entire powwow, podcast, interview, dissecting Jessica Martinez, you've consistently interjected God.
Yes.
The power he's had, the power he's had on your life, and how he's counseled you. And I have to admit also that it seems as if your moves have also been very strategic, and I think it's because of that relationship. People tend to have a religious,
religion is only rules.
Squirrel Rosenberg Podcast, Jessica Martinez dropping jewels all day. Could we say that again, please?
Religion is only rules. I'm talking about intimacy with the Lord, encounter. He's real. He just wants to love on us so bad. If we could just be still.
So we're going to have her back, and we're going to dissect more of this. However,
okay,
before we close, in one of the pre-interviews we had, you mentioned that the Wear Your Crown Challenge does not apply specifically and only to women.
Right.
It applies to men.
Yes.
Expound on that.
So if we think about the times where there were kings and queens.
Yeah.
To be a king, and there's historical facts on who kings were and their motives and intentions, but if we could bring it back to now, one of the things that I want to challenge men is if we were to be living in times where you see how you wear a watch is big, it is. So just like we wear watches as an accessory to let us know what time it is, if men wore crowns to let them know, to stay in alignment with who they and accountable to who they say they are, it's what 3 things as a man would you say your crown represents?
Wow. It represents protection. It represents security. And it should also represent honesty for me.
Okay.
And I think that may be varied, but how did I answer those questions?
No, it really speaks about where you're at in your life right now. And I think that, asking ourselves, what does our crown represent? It might change over time. You know what I mean?
Wow. Very profound.
Very. And it speaks to where we're at in our journey. And so as we go on our journey, a crown is a representation of this is who I am, or this is who I want to become. And am I walking in alignment to that? And when I'm not, I got to check myself. That's why for some of us, we wear a physical crown. And there's some women that believe I don't need to do that. You know what I mean? Like, that's silly. But for some of us, you know, we need that physical, you know, thing. So for men, I think is that, you know, if you're going to be the king of your home, the pastor of your home, you got to first define what your crown means. And are you walking in alignment to that? And let your woman know that and know what her crown means, because then together you elevate the kingdom.
Squirrel Rosenberg Podcast. That was so powerful. The way it just flew so fluid. I mean, that was amazing the way you delivered that. And, you know, as we get ready to wrap on this, the Wear Your Crown Challenge goes out to both males as kings, females as queens.
Yes.
And you want to remind and remain as kings and as queens.
Amen.
And conduct yourself accordingly. That's what the challenge is all about.
Yes.
So let me ask you this. You have the crystal ball. You can reach out and challenge.
I do not have the crystal ball.
No,
the Lord knows all.
Yeah. No.
But I hear what you're saying. Go ahead.
No, you have that. And
okay.
You can now challenge 3 celebrities. 3 celebrity.
5.
I'll give you 5.
Okay.
I'll give you top
Tracy
5.
Ellis Ross.
Well, hold up. Let me pull this back. Top 5.
My sister.
Top 5 celebrities you would like to challenge to wear your crown.
Okay.
And I would love for you to sprinkle some male celebrities in there also, so they could be kings. All right, Jessica Martinez, look into the camera. Bong, let's go.
Tracy Ellis Ross, because she does such an awesome job, and she's an elder who wears it so well. Alicia Keys, because with her natural movement, I love it. Gina Rodriguez, Jane the Virgin. I love her swag and what she stands for. Devon Franklin, my brother. Hollywood 10 Commandments, you speak in truth. And Sharif, who's this man from California who really speaks on the depth of identity and relationships. So that's who I challenge. And it's just hashtagging Wear Your Crown Challenge and what your crown represents.
Squirrel Rosenberg Podcast, Jessica Martinez. Woo! Thank you so much for being here. To those celebrities they mentioned, let's just really... Okay, yeah. To those celebrities that she challenged, I want to make sure you really step up, and we're going to really make sure you get to see this and step up to that challenge. Jess, there's a question I ask my guests when they're always here.
Okay.
I give you the magic wand. There's 2 things you can make an impact on in this world. 2 things that you can change. What would be those 2 things?
For people to hold on to their journey, like the trauma, the hurt, all of that stuff, and to also heal that. Because once you get healing, that inner healing, that peace, and bring that joy back in your life, you can be very impactful and very powerful.
Squirrel Rosenberg Radio, another jewel as we close here. Jessica Martinez will be back to dissect more of this journey. We're going to be challenging people through the end of this year.
Yeah.
Let's not just make October the month.
Absolutely
Let's
not.
make the next 3 months, October, November, December, the month where we'll have a powwow. We'll challenge other celebrities. The Wear Your Crown Challenge, expanded to male and females. Squirrel Rosenberg Radio, Squirrel Rosenberg Podcast. Check us out. We're going to be closing on this.
November, anti-bullying month. So this can totally chime into that. All right. Thank you. Woo! Good job, brother.
He's broke, there's money to be made. I'm on the road to the riches, you in another lane. I'm all alone at the bar, take a